it was intended to inspire the public. And I started understanding more about what rockets could be used. I actually went to Russia a few times to try to buy some of their nuclear missiles, minus the nuke. That's extra. So that's pretty wild, being in Russia in 2001, negotiating to buy two of their biggest missiles. But it became clear that unless there was something new with rockets, that was the fundamental issue. The cost of access to space was the fundamental issue. So it wasn't a question of trying to increase the public's desire. Public's desire for space and exploration is very high, but there needs to be a means. There needs to be a way, and there needs to be a radical improvement in the cost of access to orbit. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try starting a rocket company and see if it's successful. But like I said, I told people at the time, because people would say to me, tell me this joke of like, what's the fast, what's the, how do you go from, sorry, sorry, I'm getting a little hot under the collar here. I think a lot of people are. So they'd say, what's the fastest way to make a small fortune in the rocket industry? And the punchline is, you start with a large one. So, it was tough going for a while. Our first 3 launches failed. Fortunately, the 4th one succeeded. If the 4th one had not succeeded, SpaceX would not exist. So it was a very close call.
Fast forward, you created, or you co-created OpenAI.
Yes.
ChatGPT has been incredibly successful. It's the fastest growing ever story. And after having created OpenAI, suddenly you say, oh, we should have a pause. Some people say, oh, it's because he has not done it.
Well, I mean, I didn't think anyone would actually agree to the pause, but I thought just for the record, I just want to say I think we should pause. I didn't think that
Why do you want we should pause?
Well, I think there's a real danger for digital superintelligence having negative consequences. And so if we are not careful with creating artificial general intelligence, we could have potentially a catastrophic outcome. So, I think there's a range of possibilities. I think the most likely outcome is positive for AI, but that's not every possible outcome. So we need to minimize the probability that something will go wrong with digital superintelligence. Yes. So I'm in favor of AI regulation because I think advanced AI is a risk to the public, and anything that's a risk to the public, there needs to be some kind of referee. That referee is the regulator, and so I think that my strong recommendation is to have some regulation for AI.
Some regulation for AI?
Yes.
Which is what you want also for Twitter?
I'm not sure. Regulation, I guess. There's plenty of regulators. Sure.
Okay. So speaking about Twitter, you have made a big bet on Twitter. You said it a few minutes ago that you bet too much.
Yes.
Yes. And you are now going on to Twitter 2.0 or 3.0, which I understand it's a full-scale reinvention of the company.
Yeah, we're evolving the company very rapidly.
Yeah. The company is changing quite dramatically. There are a lot of controversy about Twitter. So I have, in fact, 3 very quick questions. The first one is, why have you decided to acquire it? The second is, what was wrong at Twitter to make you acting. And the last one is, not the last of the three, because there are many other questions, is why do you believe that you would be successful? And you would be.
Well, thanks.
I can't imagine that you will not be.
Well, thanks. Well, obviously I was on Twitter as a major user, and even before the acquisition closed, my Twitter account was the most interacted with account in the world. So I guess I'm pretty closely attuned to what's going on with Twitter. You know, I get a feel for how is it shifting one way or the other. And generally I was concerned that Twitter was having a negative effect on civilization, that it was having a corrosive effect on civil society. And so that, you know, anything that undermines civilization, I think, is not good. And you know, go back to my point of like we need to do everything possible to support civilization and move it in a positive direction. And I felt that that Twitter kept moving more and more in a negative direction. And my hope and aspiration was to change that and have it be a positive force for civilization.
It is not perceived like this. People are very happy to listen to that approach, but the perception is very different.
Well, I think it depends on, I think if somebody is a regular Twitter user, I think most people would say that their experience has improved. We've gotten rid of 90% of the bots and the scams and the various bad things that were happening. We've gotten rid of, now at this point, I think 95% of the child exploitation material that was on Twitter, which was a shock to see the amount of that was really terrible. Some of that had been going on for 10 years and no action. So I think we've done a lot of good in that respect. And then I think we've also done things like we have open sourced the algorithm, so we're trying to be as transparent as possible. So Twitter is the only social media company where you can see the actual code of the algorithm. So it's not like some secret black box. I mean, the way to build trust is not take my word for it. It's let's show you exactly how it works and full transparency. And we're also going to be showing, like, if your account is in any way affected by the Twitter system, you can see it clearly. Just, you know, moving in, I think, a good direction. I think the recommendation algorithm, you know, I don't want to go on too long for Twitter, but I think it's actually quite good, and that those who are on the Twitter system, I think generally think it's good. You know, we are seeing all-time highs in usage, so at least, you know, for the public out there, they are using the system more. So we're seeing pretty significant week-over-week growth in usage. So the public is speaking with their time, and if they're putting their time on Twitter, that's a very good signal. So that's very positive.
What would you say to advertisers who left Twitter to convince them to come back?
Yeah, actually I should say that maybe with a few exceptions, almost all the advertisers have said that they've either come back or they said they will come back. So actually, I feel pretty optimistic about the future. Yeah, so we're really, at this point, I believe. Actually, I'm not aware of any advertiser that is that they either come back or they said they'll come back. I'm not aware of any exceptions. There are probably a few exceptions, but overall, I think it's very positive.
Good. So we will have now a broader conversation, we will ask Christelle Edeman from Orange, the CEO of Orange, to join us, as well as Antoine Arnaud from LVMH, and Asmita Dubey from L'Oréal. We have to move in order that they add the chair, so come here. Why they are arranging, there is there is one question that I would like to take. So finally we are all together again. I had another question, but I will save it for later, and I will give the floor to Christelle Edeman, who is the CEO of Orange, and she is very much excited about putting some harsh, difficult question to you. Let's go.
Not sure that's so difficult, but so I like to talk about social networks and
Twitter.
Maurice, but obviously social networks and Twitter has been a fantastic tool to develop free speech and open debates that maybe were not possible before that.
Sure.
Now, there's also another side of it, which is that there can be some disinformation, fake news.
Fake news? What? That's crazy.
Fake news. Really don't.
I don't believe it.
Believe that?
Wait, how do I know this is real?
Now the question is, and actually I think there's a flip side indeed to social networks, and there's a code of conduct that the EU has proposed about disinformation.
Okay.
Recently Twitter just decided to walk away from it. So is this because Twitter doesn't respect the fact that information needs to be moderated, and actually you've been pretty vocal on content moderation, so just what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm generally a fan of that we should have free speech as much as possible, as much as is allowed by the laws of any country. So, I think that, say for France, we should allow things that are allowed by law, and if the people want the laws to be different, then pass a different law and we'll adhere to that law. But for Twitter to go beyond the law, that doesn't seem quite right to me. I think we want to allow people to express themselves, and really, if you have to say, when does free speech matter? Free speech matters, and it's only relevant if people are allowed to say things that you don't like, because otherwise it's not free speech. And I would take that if somebody says something potentially offensive, but that's actually okay. Now we're not going to promote those offensive tweets, but I think people should be able to say things, because the alternative is censorship, and frankly, I think if you go down the censorship route, it's only a matter of time before censorship is turned upon you. So that's why it's important. In the U.S., you've got the First Amendment, Freedom of Speech Amendment, and you say, why did they do that? Why did they pass that amendment? It was because they were not able to say what they wanted to say in the countries that they came from, and they wanted to make sure that they could say what they wanted to say. So I believe in freedom for the people to say things, and that even if somebody said that is actually in some ways a sign of health. If people are able to, if someone you don't like is able to say something you don't like, rather than try to suppress that, you say you know what, that's a good sign, because that means I can say things, and that person will not like what I say, but I can still say it. And that's a really big deal.
Freedom of speech, that's something that's very, at the core of our values. But now, if we look at young people and being in the digital field and we provide digital services that people use, there's also a move towards cyberbullying and harassment, which I think it's also our role to educate young people on how to use the technology and make sure that because some behaviors, I mean on Twitter or other social networks, can actually have devastating effects on people. Is Twitter doing something about it, or would you be willing to engage with other players? Actually, at Orange, we do a lot in that space.
Sure. I mean,
that's true.
I think you know, Twitter is for sure willing to engage with others, and as I said, the overarching goal is to have Twitter be a positive force for civilization, and you know, so and if you're on the platform and you're being harassed or bullied or whatever, obviously that's a negative experience. So you know, what we're doing is we call it sort of freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, which is that if yes, you can say offensive things, but then your content is going to get downrated. So if you're a jerk, your reach will drop. So yeah, I think that's the right thing.
Antoine, I don't know if you will be competing with L'Oréal to launch the future fragrance for Elon Musk and the brand, the Musk, so you have to compete very hard. But maybe, I know that you had already the lunch, but there is now the dessert, so you can put your question.
All right. First of all, in the name of le groupe Les Échos de Parisien, thank you very much for being here. As the co-host of Viatech, and it's great to have you and welcome. So, change of subject from Twitter. At LVMH, our oldest maison is called Claudification. I saw you enjoy good wine.
Yeah.
It's 650 years old.
Wow.
Louis Vuitton was founded in 1854. Our most ancient American maison, Tiffany, was founded in 1837. The sum of the years of existence of all our maison at LVMH is 8,393 years old.
Wow.
Tesla is a teenager, right?
Yes.
19 years old.
Yeah.
And its market cap is already higher than LVMH.
So it was a question of age.
Yeah.
So, First question, how much longer are you going to make us look so bad? Second question, more serious, do you feel the creation of value is more challenging in traditional or innovative business?
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here and speak with you, so thanks for having me. You know, evaluations are a strange thing, because you know, sometimes I've said, hey, I think the stock price is too high at Tesla, and then the stock price goes up. I'm like, okay.
So if you tweet, is it going up or down?
No, the crazy thing, I mean, when I've tweeted, I think the stock price is too high, almost always it goes up. So, I don't know, it's a strange thing. So, I guess in the case of Tesla, if the value of the company is primarily on the basis of autonomy. So, in my opinion, because if you look at our total vehicle output, it's it'll be almost 2 million vehicles this year or something like that. But that's still only 2% of total vehicle production. So then why is our market cap so high? And it's because the potential for autonomy is the value of autonomy is so high that even if you have a discounted percentage probability of autonomy happening, that is still incredibly valuable. So the average passenger car is used only about 10 hours a week, so an average of about 1.5 hours a day. But if you have an autonomous robo-taxi, the utility might be 50 or 60 hours a week out of 168 hours. So now you've got a vehicle that costs the same, but has 5 times the utility. So it's so gigantic a change that's really, I think, the main driver of our value. Although I've said this before, I think we will solve autonomy soon.
Did you expect that Tesla will be at this level of market cap?
No, I did not expect Tesla would be at this level.
Because it's just extraordinary. Unfair, by the way.
I mean, I don't set the price, so...
Yeah, you don't set.
Just another quick question. I tried Midjourney the other day.
Yeah, Midjourney's amazing.
Right, and I asked the software to make a Louis Vuitton advertising campaign with only 2 words. So here it's a bad question for you, Maurice.
No.
Right?
If you want to put me out of a job...
That was my question. Do you feel this advertising production industry is going to be threatened by AI?
Be careful. Be careful.
Not at all. It's totally safe. I mean, AI is definitely going to be a massive disruptive force. I mean, AI is probably the most disruptive technology ever. I mean, the crazy thing is that, you know, the advantage that humans have is that we're smarter than other creatures. Like if we got into a fight with the gorilla would definitely win. But we're smart, so. But now for the first time there's going to be something that is smarter than the smartest human. Like way smarter than the smartest human. And as you can see from Midjourney, the art that AI can create is incredible. It's so beautiful and it does it, you know, within seconds. So we're at, I mean, I think, you know, there's that sort of saying, may you live in interesting times, which I think is like not exactly a good thing sometimes, but we actually live, I think we live in the most interesting of times. The advent of AI, and I actually thought to myself at one point, like, would I really want to be alive at this point? Like, let's say that there is some AI Armageddon that happens, some sort of AI apocalypse. I think I would still want to be alive at this time to see it. Hopefully, you know, hopefully not cause it. But it's just I think we live in an extremely interesting time, you know, because the things that you see AI being able to do now, it's going to do much more with each passing year. Cars will absolutely drive themselves better than any person could drive. We'll have humanoid robots. Like, so Tesla's developing a humanoid robot. We call it the T800. It's yeah, some people get that joke. It's the Terminator. So
we can tweet that.
Yeah. But if you like say, what is an economy? An economy is GDP per capita times capita. Now, what happens if you don't actually have a limit on capita? If you have an unlimited number of sort of people or robots, it's not clear what meaning an economy has at that point, because you have an unlimited economy effectively. So like on the good side, the plus side of AI is that I think we are heading for an age of abundance, where any goods and services that you want, you can just have. So that's the positive side of AI future is an age of abundance.
From the advertising side, I must say that we are using AI since many years, and it is helping us a great deal. And this is a tool that we are already using, and I think it will be helping us to do even faster some very good help. It will be probably long time before they replace the creative minds. Asmita, maybe you have an opinion on that, and maybe you can. Asmita is the CDO of L'Oréal, and she knows a lot about digital, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about advertising and AI, and put your question to Ilan.
So I'll pick up from advertising and from what you said before about Twitter. So now we know that Twitter is expensive, and we know that aims to have free speech. The question I have is about winning the advertisers' trust to be a preferred social media platform in the current context where the expected revenue, in 2023 is lower than 2022. You have brought in new leadership, Linda. So I wanted to know that how time, the support, the freedom, because she's an advertising expert. So will she be able to manage the situation and how?
Yeah, I think Linda's great. So I think Linda's going to do amazing things for Twitter, and obviously understands where advertisers are coming from very deeply, understands the concerns that advertisers have, and I think will do a great job in addressing those concerns. A key part is, say like, if you're an advertiser, what content do you want to appear next to? And depending upon what advertiser, the sensitivity of the brand, if you're, for example, say Disney, and you're advertising a children's movie, then you want to have, all ages content, And by the way, Disney is one of our biggest advertisers. So it's really about just making sure that the content adjacency matches what a brand is comfortable with. And then there's some cases where the content is like, there's not going to be any advertising because nobody wants to advertise next to it. And that's going to be some of the more controversial stuff.
Follow up on that, because we were talking about content. You have just made the announcement that there will be ad revenue sharing for creators.
Yes.
Yeah, and that has a condition. It will be done when they are verified blue tick creators, and the advertising is to verified blue tick users.
Yes.
Now, if with that, how does that impact your focus on subscription revenues? Because to be blue tick, there's a subscription versus advertising revenues focus.
Yeah, so a big part of, like, when you say, say how many impressions does something get, you say, like, well, were those impressions real or not real? Was it, a computer just running 100,000 fake accounts? Because that obviously doesn't count because the computer's not going to buy anything. So that's why our focus is on verified users, because we are admittedly conflating verification and subscription at Twitter. So you could say like verified subscriber or something like that. It's not possible to game that. So it's real, it's solid, and it's not a computer. So that's why that's why we're focused on that. Is to ensure the authenticity of the views, and that it really that real people are seeing what's going on. I mean, the sheer amount of bots and scam and spam activity in social media is insane. And we're talking about AI. It's very obvious that, especially with today's AI, the computers can pass every, like, are you a human test. In fact, I think they can pass are you a human test better than a human. Sort of, you say, like, identify a traffic light or something like that. Okay, let me tell you, Tesla can identify a traffic light. So if we're, but even like open source AI stuff right now can pass all of the human tests. So you have to have something that does better